I see in my own limited experience and social interactions, girls having serious issues with PCOS, etc., that I had never heard about in my days. I didn't even know what PCOS was. Tell us a little bit more about it before we go further.
I think PCOS is something that, again, it's if the mind doesn't know, then you don't really see it. There's a lot of literature coming out on whether the increase in PCOS, is it a true increase or was it always there and now we are diagnosing it?
Oh, I see.
So, of course, PCOS was always existed, because if you see historically, 100 years ago, you'll find articles of PCOS and pictures and diagrams and all of that. The nomenclature again came up later on. It was earlier called PCOD. D was disease, which sounded too diseased. So then it became syndrome, polycystic ovarian syndrome. But again, it's difficult to disentangle it and say, is it just diagnosis or is it a true increase in incidence? But if you see where it stems from, there is a small genetic element to it, but there is also a larger lifestyle element to it. And that becomes, it hints more towards, oh, we are seeing this change in lifestyle in our children now, and it definitely could contribute. So typically what happens in girls with PCOS is they very often suffer from what we call anovulatory cycles. Ovulation typically occurs in the middle of the cycle. It could be anywhere between the 10th and the 15th, 16th, and it depends on what it is for different women. It's different, but it is something that gives the ovary an indication to produce progesterone. So if you look at a 28-day textbook cycle, egg starts to form at the beginning of the cycle. Of course, now there are theories that it starts even earlier, but basically the egg starts to grow, and then around the 14th day, there is ovulation. When ovulation occurs, the ovary automatically gets a signal that it needs to start producing progesterone to prepare for a pregnancy. So typical cycle, in layman's language, you say first half estrogen, second half progesterone. Now, if I don't ovulate, now I no longer get a signal to produce progesterone. And when I don't get that signal, that drop in progesterone is what induces my period. So progesterone rises, the body detects, hey, there's no pregnancy, it crashes. And when it crashes, a period comes in. Now, if that rise and fall doesn't happen, I don't get a period. So typically you hear the girls say, I'm getting cycles which are delayed. So they may come in 40 days, 45 days, or completely erratic. Sometimes even they may get even earlier cycles. But basically, it's that lack of ovulation which starts creating this problem. Entangled with it is what they call insulin resistance.
There you go.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And so because insulin is something called IGF, which is insulin growth factor, is very similar to all these other hormones, LH, and you see all of the hormones coming from the pituitary, they have a lot of common chains. So one goes and attaches to another one's receptor. So bottom line is there's a lot of confusion going on in the body, including the fact that insulin levels are high. Now, it's a chicken egg problem. Did the insulin levels go high first and hence she developed all of this? Or did she put on a lot of weight because she wasn't moving and was eating unhealthy, and that caused insulin resistance? So that is something that, it becomes a little sensitive to talk to girls as well. It's possible that you're not moving, hence this is happening. Or either way, the solution is move. Very often, in simple, of course, it is more complex than that. And you find girls who are insulin resistant, they also find it harder to lose weight. So they fall into a trap. And then sometimes you need medication to bring it down and then help them move, because also, they're young girls. And when you weight sometimes is not a problem, because you also have 20% of them who have what they call lean PCOS. So they will not have weight problems. They may have excessive facial hair, because again, there is a little imbalance of how much testosterone versus estrogen, progesterone you're producing. So testosterone rises, and so there's facial hair, there's acne. Some of them suffer from severe hair loss. It's distressing.